Night StarCraft Edition, featuring some of the top players from around the world, with 25,000 in prize money on the line. Who will go home the StarCraft champion? This is Fight Night.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Fight Night here at ESGN TV. We've had a lot of fun with Hearthstone over the past couple weeks, but now it's time to begin our StarCraft 2 King of the Hill series. We've gathered the top players from around the world, but we're not going to reveal it to you just yet. We'll have all the information about the format in just a second, right after you watch this video introducing what StarCraft 2 is all about.
StarCraft 2 is a one-on-one real-time strategy game made by Blizzard Entertainment. Players choose one of three races, Terran, Zerg, or Protoss, then develop their civilization and fight against opposing armies. In a game of StarCraft 2, there are a few key things to consider: the resource count of minerals and gas, the power of the army and population, often referred to as supply count, and the overall map control. Players that have significant advantages in all three areas are usually in a prime position to win. So the key to StarCraft 2 is to know when to develop your own strategy and when to concentrate on your opponent's plan. A player wins when he has eliminated all the buildings of his opponent. StarCraft 2 players need a combination of immense physical speed, mental fortitude, and devious strategies in order to come out on top and crush their opponent. So here's the rules for Fight Night StarCraft 2. 8 world-class players are chosen at random by the heartless ESGN TV wheel. They are going to battle each other over 7 brutal matches until we have the last man standing, but the stakes are high. Players can win from $500 right up to $25,000.
Hey everyone, I'm joined by Artosis. Dan, thanks for joining me. Since you did so well in Hearthstone, we figured to bring you back also for StarCraft 2 commentary.
I do love StarCraft. Thanks for having me, Frodan. I'm pretty excited. This is a really good group of players.
That's right, and we, again, have a very unique format that's different from usual competition, but we're not going to reveal the players just yet. We have a wheel to determine everything.
Yeah, we're going to spin and grab 2 players to play the first match in this King of the Hill format, and it's going to be totally random, and that kind of adds to the excitement. No one knows who they're going to play yet.
That's right. We have a lot of talent here, and the players aren't sure who they're going to play yet, but we're going to let the wheel decide, and we're going to decide right now with the first 2. Dan, go ahead and take your first spin. Good old player 1.
Oh, player 1, one of my favorites. Let's see who it is. Looks like Grubby.
My name is Manuel Schenkhuizen. I play StarCraft 2 professionally, wherein my nickname is Grubby, and I come from the Netherlands. I've been gaming for as long as I can remember, because my father, he's pretty with the times, pretty into technical stuff and gadgets, so he got us the very first computer models, like very early on. When I was 4, I was already playing like Atari, Commodore and so on, so gaming is a part of life for me.
All right, it's time to find out who Grubby is going to face as his first opponent. Dan, shall we take her for a spin again? Looks like it's player 8. And it's going to be HasuObs.
My name is Dennis Schneider. I'm 26 years old. I play Protoss and I live in Cologne. I play games pretty much my whole life so far. I started on a console when I was like 9 years old, I believe, PlayStation 1 or something. And once I got a computer, I started to play StarCraft Brood War. So I started to join teams, I play tournaments, and then I switched over to StarCraft 2 and I play full-time.
All right, Grubby, Hasu, it's a best of 3, winner takes all, loser goes home. Shake hands and good luck.
Good luck.
Let's give it to our commentators, Artosis and Kalaris at the commentators desk.
Hey guys, I am Artosis, joined by Kalaris, and we are about to commentate a great PvP match two of our favorite players, Grubby and HasuObs.
Been able to commentate these two a lot when it comes to not only WCS Europe, but we also see HasuObs in the EPS quite a little bit as well. Speaking of WCS Europe, we saw them play during Season 2, where Grubby unfortunately did fall to HasuObs 2-1, but during that round of 32 group, we saw HasuObs on absolute peak form, able to take out MVP in that last game.
Yeah, you know, HasuObs has been one of my favorite Protosses in all of Europe for the entirety of StarCraft 2. I love his defensive style, but some people think it's too defensive. What do you think, Claris?
I think that it's an effective style that not many players actually employ. I mean, if you're playing that defensively and always having that defender's advantage of being set up when when you greet your opponent, it's a very, very hard thing to actually break. And eventually, people try and batter down that wall, and they end up killing themselves off.
That's right, they overextend into it. Could this be something that we see from Grubby, though? I look at him more as a defensive macro-based player, but he really does mix it up, and he will go for the throw if he thinks it'll work. You know what, we caught up with the players a little bit. Let's go ahead, jump over to that, and see what they have to say.
HasuObs and me have faced each other a lot back in Warcraft 3 when we were both playing. Also a few times in StarCraft 2. I think our record in StarCraft 2, can't say that I remember exactly, but I just remember the last time we met, and I lost 1-2 in a 2-hour series. It was really fun playing against him, so it'll be fun to play against him again.
History against Grubby, well, we played in Warcraft 3, we played in StarCraft 2 as well. I think my record in StarCraft 2 is much better than it was in Warcraft 3. In Warcraft 3 he was pretty much unbeatable for me. And in StarCraft 2 it's fairly even, I'd say. We are both very good Protoss players. We kind of have the same style, I'd say, but in PvP you can always mix it up, so I'm expecting really good matches.
Claris, it is almost time to get this match underway. Both the players seem to think this is going to be a really close one.
Yeah, I have to agree with them. In terms of how they've matched up in the past, in the last two series in Heart of the Swarm, it's always been 2-1, never really having a full 2-0 for one of these players. So I have to agree, very, very close. Spawning up to the top left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss, representing mousesports. He is HasuObs. And up to the top right-hand corner as our green Protoss, representing himself and the Netherlands, he is Grubby.
That's right, Grubby from Team Grubby, I guess that we call it. One of the first pro gamers to really go out on his own and get sponsorships.
Yeah.
And not rely really as much on a team.
Yeah, certainly, and I mean, it's been like that for a long, long time now. He was previously of Evil Geniuses, and then heading over and doing his own things. Meanwhile, though, we have a player like HasuObs who has been absolutely dedicated and loyal to his team. He's been at mousesports for like 8 years now.
Yeah, it's actually crazy, and it's so nice to see a solid organization like that supporting a solid player like HasuObs, and this is not just one title. He's jumped titles, and they kept him. They're like, we believe in you, you're gonna be good. And here he is, one of the best Protosses in all of Europe.
And just in general, the progression that we've seen from HasuObs, he's one of, I would say, the older players in the European scene. He's 25 currently. And the thing is about HasuObs is that transitioning from Wings of Liberty to Heart of the Swarm, in Wings of Liberty, his win ratios were like 50% here in almost all matchups. But in Heart of the Swarm, he is actually now performing a hell of a lot better than he was in Wings of Liberty. He's sitting at like a 64% win ratio in this match.
Wow.
And then in like PVT, he's sitting at 68% win ratio. So very, very good across the board.
I think it kind of makes sense if you look at the difference between Protoss in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. With the Mothership core, I feel like the defensive types of plays are going to be a little bit stronger than in Wings of Liberty, and I think that just kind of complements him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That all the tools that have been added here to Protoss have really, really helped out HasuObs. They've helped out a lot of Protosses, and Grubby is no stranger to that, as we do get things ramped up for our first PvP here. And he sees a second gateway, so he knows it's pretty much just going to be Stalker, Stalker, Stalker coming out from Grubby.
And I have to say, I kind of like this opening from HasuObs. He's actually scouted a lot quicker than Grubby, and he's scouted in the right direction, whereas Grubby, well, he's not going to find HasuObs maybe really at all. There's going to be a stalker out by the time the probe gets there.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a risk that you take if you're going to scout that kind of late on a 4-player map in PvP here. As for now, we already see HasuObs kicking things off with the Dark Shrine, Twilight Council even.
Well, do you think it's going to go into a Dark Shrine, or do you think it's going to be a Blink build?
I think it could be a DT Shrine. The reason I say it is because during EPS, it was pretty much very recently here in the German scene at least, we actually saw a lot of Dark Templar plays. Of course, it could still be Blink. It's harder to know nowadays with the costs being so equal.
Yeah, that's right. The same amount of gas to make each, so you can't just look at the gas and predict like in Wings of Liberty, but we'll see in a moment here. In the meantime, Grubby is going for Stargate play, which I really do like on this map, and he's going for it before any expander or anything. It's a 2-gate Stargate, and I feel like that's super safe.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, the Oracle's going to come out at a very nice time to... I mean, it's going to try and get over there and harass if it comes along. I mean, we could even see the Phoenix come out from Grubby. It's something that he does love. But as we said before, the Dark Shrine is on the way. This is very, very heavily rampant in the German scene right now in PvP. And a lot of Protoss see it as an opening that doesn't really leave you behind, even if you don't do massive amounts of damage.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree with that as well. I think that one of the most solid openings is the Dark Shrine because you can't get aggressive against it. The Mothership Core will keep you alive until it warps in all the way and you can warp in DTs. Sometimes it catches your opponent off guard and it leaves you with Twilight Tech, so you can go for Blink or Charge or Archons or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice option. Well, that first Oracle is going to head up the other side of the map. Obviously, he does know where he's spawned now. That Mothership Core will get pushed away by the initial Stalker, but for now, I don't believe that Grubby has been able to spot the tech of HasuObs, as it has been blocked off of the ramp.
Well, he's going to get over there right as it's finishing up, and he's already started a second Oracle, and that's really important. That means he's going to have detection, and here we go. He sees the Dark Shrine just as it finishes, and the Photon Overcharge goes off. It looks like he is going to end up losing this Oracle, but how many kills?
Not a whole lot comparison to what I was expecting, and he got 5 in total. Maybe I think he should have been able to do a little bit more damage than that, but Grubby's going to try and expand off the back of this. And, well, HasuObs, he doesn't have any pylons near his opponent's base, so it's harder to get those Dark Templars in.
You're right. He doesn't have any, and that's going to make the DT rush a lot weaker. In fact, he has a couple DTs walking over. I'm actually slightly surprised he went for 2 instead of just 1, considering it's so far away.
Exactly. They're just not going to get any opportunity to do anything. I mean, after using the Oracle as harassment, he saw everything that his opponent was up to. So he keeps that Oracle well in place to be able to deal with the Dark Templars if they're going to come in. 2 have a lot of damage, so maybe needs a few more units to actually deal with that.
Well, he's going to go ahead and detect these DTs are going to have to walk away. And it looks like he tries to get a force field down, not quite working out. But the Oracle going to town here on the DT.
Yeah, he had to activate even more energy there to get that pulse cannon in favor here of this engagement, and now we'll push this away. Mothership Core also needs to save itself. It's important not to lose that, as we have now Void Rays in production here for Grubby. So that's, you know, the alternate route. Once you've opened up that Stargate, it gives you the Void Ray option. It's such a strong one.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, we do have Grubby pushing forward right now and trying to get some sort of pressure on keeping HasuObs back, and even starting that second Void Ray. And this is going to make him pretty safe. When someone opens DTs, a lot of times they're going to go Blink afterwards. And you have to either have Immortals, your own Blink in a similar Stalker number, or Void Rays.
Yeah, certainly do. That Blink is super, super strong in this matchup, especially if, you know, critical mass Stalkers get hit, which when the mid-game comes, we could even see HasuObs throw down a lot of extra gateways and get hyper-aggressive with that, but that's not really in keeping with HasuObs' style. So I'm imagining he's just going to continue to play this out. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw even a Forge pretty soon from him to try and get that little bit of an upgrade advantage going.
Yeah, you definitely want to see those pretty quick. Now look at this Harvester difference. You know, of course he did kill 5 probes, but being up by 9 probes right now when their second nexuses were pretty similarly timed, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, those 5 probe kills at the beginning, they've kind of helped that out. And, well, the Oracle's going to try and dance around. And HasuObs is still keeping a little bit of an eye on it. And he's going to position his units accordingly. Once Blink finishes up, it's going to make it much easier to lock down these 2 bases. He already has his units separated. He's not taking damage from this.
Certainly not. But it's smart of Grubby to kind of keep him in his base, poke around, see if he can get something done. One thing I got to ask you, Claire, it looks like Grubby has gone up to 4 gateways. And he's warping in a pretty decent amount of units. Do you think we could see any early pressure coming out of him, aside from this Oracle harassment?
I mean, we could do. It's difficult to make it happen, though, when your opponent's got Blink, right? And that's going to get revealed pretty soon, as he would love to try and snipe out the Oracle to make it just disappear and not be a factor anymore. But he did spot the Forge, and he's going to go for his own Forge. But as I said, it's HasuObs. He's always 9 times out of 10, he's going to get the Forge first. He has that macro focus, and he's certainly doing it all right.
Well, it looks like HasuObs wants to get into Colossus Tech. In the meantime, Grubby adding his Forge a little bit later and grabbing a Robotics as well. Does Grubby prefer to go for Immortal play, or does he like the Colossus?
We've seen him do a lot of Immortal plays in the past. He might use it if he gets an indication or a whiff that there is going to be Colossi. Time Warp now, being a big factor in PvP, means that those Colossi are a little bit less effective, but he is going to opt for the Colossus round. I don't mind it on this map. I think it's a big, spread out map. Units line up pretty nicely when it comes to those big engagements.
And I think that when you open Stargate anyways, going to Colossus Tech can be pretty decent. You actually have the anti-air to stop Warp Prism harassment that an Immortal-based play would have to rely on to kill you.
Ooh, nice little move here by HasuObs. 4 Stalker's magic number will start to snipe out those probes very, very quickly, as that one volley will kill off one. Photon Overcharge activated, and we'll push this away, but a good move by HasuObs.
No, that was fantastic. He forced that, he made some lost mining time, he killed a few probes off. That's exactly the type of thing that you're going to want to do to catch up to Grubby's economical advantage, as he lays down his 3rd Nexus already.
Harvesters evening things up a little bit here, but all, as you said, taking that 3rd base. Now, one thing that HasuObs has opted for as opposed to the 3rd base is quicker Templar archives. So those Archons are going to be a factor. He will have the more efficient composition going into a fight, but can he make use of it quicker than the 3rd Nexus? I think Grubby will be okay.
Yeah, I can't foresee Grubby just being killed off or anything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Blink Stalkers. They really haven't done that much, and in a big battle like the one that may be coming up here, I don't think they're going to be that useful. So I feel like HasuObs needs to make a choice here. Is he just going to add a couple more gateways and go for some sort of all-in 2 base, or is he going to get that 3rd Nexus up?
It's certainly a very, very good question, but considering how much he's upgrading here, those are still going to take a long while to actually finish. It's still looking towards that Nexus play, or there's a lot of pylons to try and get things going, but Grubby is still at the advantage in terms of supply. He pushes these Blink Stalkers away from the middle map once again, and he's doing a good job in general of keeping an eye on the Blink Stalkers.
Yeah.
Using Revelation to spot those and making sure they're not on his side of the map.
It's so well done indeed, and in fact the charge upgrade even very close to where HasuObs is. HasuObs still not taking a 3rd Nexus. I feel like he's needed to do that already, but maybe he will soon.
I mean, it's going to completely fall apart if he doesn't, or unless he does some damage. But again, he's just pressured back in the middle of the map. He can't get anywhere. And even these armies, how they look right now, Hasu just still doesn't have that big firepower, that big punch that he would feel confident going into a full engagement with. He's a defensive player. If he wants to get aggressive, he has to know in his mind that he has a clear army advantage.
Well, he continues to try to push forward, but this Oracle play is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Grubby knows everything that's happening at every moment, and that's giving him a big advantage here.
Few Zealot kills. Maybe he wants to poke forwards when charge finishes up. Nice blink forwards. Will try and catch one of the Void Rays, but good force field in response there by Grubby to try and push those Stalkers away.
Well, it looks like right now in the middle of the map, HasuObs definitely has the bigger army, so Grubby does retreat to a more strategically advanced area, and with the additional Colossus, I don't think he can be broken yet, but HasuObs continues to produce units instead of economy.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to hit a +2 weapons charge timing, right? But for Grubby, they're so close behind that as well. He's going to have his reinforcements quicker. The Oracle does go down eventually, but he's still keeping an eye on this army. So he still has around 30 to 60 seconds of time where he can keep an eye on this, mass himself, and he has 3 Colossi here.
Well, here we go. This attack is finally happening. Time Warp's going down absolutely everywhere. One of the Archons stuck behind for HasuObs, and it looks like Grubby is going to hold it without too much of a problem.
Yeah, just too much firepower. This defensive position and the advantage in terms of supply was too much for Grubby. I'm very, very surprised that HasuObs has opted to go for this assault. It wasn't really going to work out, and he's trying to fall on back to a 3rd base now, but I think this is too late.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Claris. When you lose all your Colossus like this and Grubby still has 3 left, what in the world can you do to stop him? You'd have to have some sort of air units, but he doesn't have any. He has no Immortals, and that's it. GG. Grubby taking a pretty strong first victory.
And for me, just in general, looking at that first game, stylistically, that wasn't really the HasuObs I'm used to. I wasn't expecting him to go for as late a third base and just try and play it out like that. It was a little bit strange for me.
Yeah, it's not what we're normally used to from him, but I think maybe that's why he did it. You know, he knows how he's perceived. He knows that Grubby is standing there saying, you know what, he's kind of a little bit too defensive, doesn't know when to attack. And so he decided, you know what, I'm going to mix in an attack here. I'm going to play aggressively on this huge map that you'd expect me to be the one expanding on.
I picked Protoss, I think for the same reason that I picked Orc, and what also characterized the rest of my gaming history. I like the race with the big burly men. I don't think I'm compensating. I like the big creatures. It was the same in Magic the Gathering, the card game as well, and a lot of other games. I like big monstrous creatures, so I get attracted to a movie like Pacific Rim because it looks cool, but then I watched it and it was kind of a disappointment. I like the big creatures, and I felt like in Protoss they were the most flashy, the most strong creatures, and that's why I went with them.
Very, very nicely played in game number 1 for Grubby. Can he continue that onto game 2 is a big question here, because now we go on to a much different map for game number 2, which is Belshir Vestige.
Yeah, Belshir Vestige is a much smaller map overall, and I somehow feel like HasuObs is going to play more of his normal style here. I somehow feel that he's going to sit back and defend a bit.
Now game number 2, as we're going to get into it in just a little bit. Grubby currently leads 1-0 over a Protoss opponent that he's met many a time in the past.
Indeed. Well, he wants that revenge because last time they met up, HasuObs did end up taking him down.
And now he's looking for it. You're right. He's out for blood here in game number 1, or series number 1, I should say, of what is sure to be a fantastic series. Grubby and Hasu looking ready to get into game number 2. As we have spawning up to the top left are blue Protoss. Currently 1 game down, representing mousesports, he is HasuObs. And down to the bottom right hand corner, as our green Protoss, representing the Netherlands, he is Grubby.
All right. You know, let's talk about this awesome new format, Claire's, because this is not like your regular StarCraft content. You know, you tune in and you see myself or Claire's or any of these players, and generally speaking, it's just going to be a big bracket tournament, maybe a group stage in there, but this is different.
Oh, certainly so. It's a very, very innovative kind of style that we're seeing out of ESGN here, and it's something that's really, really exciting to see as well in terms of how it can unfold. King of the Hill format, you win. The more you win, the more you make.
Yeah, and just to kind of go over that again, if Grubby ends up closing this out here and winning, he's up to 500.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. But does he play again? That's the thing, because if he plays again and loses, I'm sorry, you go home and empty-handed. But if he wins again, suddenly 750. This is like you decide what you want for prize money, but you have to be pretty confident with the level of player that's here.
Oh yeah, you certainly do. You have to be absolutely confident that you're going to be able to advance on forwards, and that keeps ramping up. The more you win, the more you make. So as opposed to, you win 1, you get 500, you win 2, you get 750, but then the jumps start increasing. The third, you get 1,000, then you up to 2,000, then 4,000. So you get a lot of money up until the very end.
Oh God, if you win 7 in a row, 25 grand, are you kidding me?
Oh my God, that's pretty good.
I wish I could win 7 games in a row against the best players in the world. That'd be cool. But let's take a look at this game now. This is actually from Grubby, a very late second gas, whereas HasuObs has altogether skipped his second gas. Well, there it is, but these are very late compared to the normal metagame of the moment.
Yeah, so looks like we may end up seeing something a bit different out of our opponents as opposed to something hyper aggressive. I mean, of course they can still tech on 1 base, but it's a little bit slower. It's going to allow their opponents a little bit more breathing room.
Certainly. We could see from them things like the initial Zealot. This is a good thing to do if you're skipping your gas for a little bit. It can help you to force out that fast Zealot. Sometimes because you do get more minerals, you might be going for a quicker Nexus. But one thing I would say is when I see it this late, the second gases, I lean more towards a faster expansion and maybe not something like not a DT Robo build, let's say, because that's going to be so gas intensive.
That's right. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that, with only one gas, we maybe didn't see like a Sentry to go for something if it was like a fast expand. Also, even if you don't have to use the force field initially for the defense, it then provides you with a hallucination to spot exactly what your opponent is up to at a relatively cheap cost. Although you do have to be careful if your opponent's being aggressive, then you've got no energy, and then you can't force field.
The worst feeling in the entire world is you hit 100, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to scout this hallucination, and it flies into a bunch of stalkers that are walking towards your base.
Like, no!
It's pretty bad. Well, Grubby actually going for a Twilight here, as well as a Senka Gateway, whereas HasuObs not really showing us very much at all.
So we're looking to see some relatively delayed blink play out of Grubby here. Is that leaning more towards that, or is it still a little bit unidentifiable as to what?
I think it's slightly unidentifiable, but I think he's going to go blink with this.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I'm feeling it as well. Well, Hasu is actually pressuring here. Behind this, he's getting a Robo. So it is looking more like a very defensive expansion play here out of HasuObs.
Yeah, that's not very common. For instance, if Grubby had opened up with, let's say, a very fast Oracle, it could be quite hard to stop that. But since Grubby is opening up with a Twilight and with Blink as predicted, that Robo is going to be fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's going to really allow him to get that expansion going. Noticeably, we saw that Hasu had a probe situated at the natural. That probe does end up dying, but he actually brought the probe back, but then the scouting probe saw one heading down there anyway. So he kind of has a little bit of indication that there is going to be an expansion going down. And he saw the Robo as well.
Yeah, for Grubby to actually spot this Robo, that tells him a lot about what's going on. He knows this has to be an expansion build. There's no one-base Robo all-ins anymore. Those are a thing of the past. And Grubby actually goes ahead and throws up his own Robo, but no Nexus yet.
So he's looking to play this out a little bit more tech intensively on one base, but adding on the Nexus now, I guess the Robo is like an insurance policy, right? You don't want to be really caught out with any kind of random Twilight Council behind all of this and Dark Shrine, etc.
There are Dark Shrine Robo builds out there for sure, so it's smart of him to be pretty safe. And, when you do start battling against Immortals, you want Immortals of your own.
Oh, yeah. And Immortals became arguably a big backbone for PvP a long time ago, even in Wings of Liberty, when Rain came onto the scene and was just like, actually, I'm just going to out on 10 Immortals, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Well, Immortal, it's a funny unit, because you'd think, well, it gets all that bonus damage against Armored, but it must be bad against, like, Zealots and Archons, right? Nope. Beats Archons one-on-one, does okay against Zealots. They're kind of funny with their surface area. It's hard to get a lot on them, especially when they're behind a thin wall. So a great unit indeed, and both of them pumping out quite a few right now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. I do love seeing a lot of Immortal-based compositions in this matchup, and at the very beginning of the Swarm, it was like Immortals, Charge Lots, Archons, very little lack of focus on Colossi because of things like Time Warp, as we mentioned before, but for now, looks like Hasu, once again, he's getting that Forge Quick, man. He wants to go for macro again, but I think he's going to sit back on this game, not go for some kind of two-base play, unless he sees a massive opportunity, but I don't think Grubby's going to give him that.
Well, right now he is definitely pressuring, going up towards Grubby's natural. Does Grubby have enough to hold this off? You know what? I would say so with that Blink. He should not really be in any trouble. And in fact, Blink's up. Ooh, a nice set of force fields, but only catches one Stalker. Really quick reaction speed from both players.
Yeah, that was always going to be hard for Hasu, with Photon Overcharge being a factor as well. But he, arguably, Grubby, if he'd have Hasu, if he'd have found the position, if he'd have got one or two force fields in between the Nexus and a little location to force those units back, then he could have done some damage to the Nexus, but it would have been difficult.
Well, I kind of look at that move like a Terran moving out early against Protoss. You know you're not going to kill him, but hey, why not get a bunch of energy off that mothership core? Because Protosses are very quick to throw that down in PvP.
Yeah, that's very true. You see that tons and tons in the current metagame in PvP. But for now, we're just going to have Robo Bay go down once again for HasuObs. Looks to focus on those Colossi. And again, can be good on this map. Those units are going to clump up heavily when it comes to engagements, but it all depends on what we're going to see from Grubby when that engagement comes. Does he have a Warp Prism with his army? Does he warp in Zealots from a weird angle? Because messing with the AI of Colossi in this matchup is oh so important.
Oh, it is so important. The Colossi just left to its own devices beats basically everything in the right composition, but a clever player that's using Immortals, Warp Prisms, Archons, that type of unit, definitely can outplay it. And it seems like that might be what Grubby's doing here. He continues to make Immortals, but I don't see any Archon tech quite yet.
Yes, Blinkstalkers will get pushed away here. Grubby's having a look around and seeing what he can spot. Notices there's a lack of third base, so he's pretty happy and content with that. But as you say, I mean, he's chrono boosting out these Immortals as quickly as he possibly can do. Again, I do love a lot of Immortals in this composition, but who's going to add on charge first? Who's going to make it really annoying for their opponent?
Well, actually, look at this. While Grubby continues to harass a bit, he's actually adding a second Robo and Colossus tech. So he's actually going to transition into heavy, heavy Colossus play. And, well, you know, the thing is, he's a little bit behind now on Colossus, and HasuObs is already getting his third base. So Grubby may find a timing a little bit later on when he has one or two more Colossus, but that's going to take a while.
Yeah, I could see this game going long, actually.
Yeah.
Considering where we're at right now, adding on that Warp Prism here, whilst that Robo Bay has just finished up, obviously, means that, you know, we can see a little bit of harassment from here. Grubby, he identifies that he's a little bit behind in this game, so he's trying to find extra angles to put pressure on his opponent.
Well, right now he's going in with all of these Stalkers, does blink up so he can get into that main base. Some Stalkers are waiting for him, some Zealots being warped in as well, and he picks off the Observer. Really nice move, and he's going to get out of there with almost all of his Stalkers.
Wow.
That was a fantastic harassment.
Yeah, very, very well done there by Grubby. A few probes for his troubles, 1 or 2 during all of that. But now HasuObs, he still has that third base just about to finish up. Grubby sees the progress of that. Now, I mean, he has options. Does he add on his third base? Does he go with these 3 gateways with charge?
Ooh, well, you know what? When I see someone see the third base finishing and they add 3 gateways, I think that's kind of telling, Claire's. I think that we're going to see a 2 base all in here from Grubby, probably lining it up with when Charge and Thermal Lance are finishing.
Ooh, and he's actually loaded up the 2 Immortals into this Warp Prism, so they will one-shot down some probes if they're able to get on top of them. Armor upgrades are very much a non-factor when it comes to PvP for a long time. You just want those big weapon upgrades to actually start ripping through some of those units. And he's going to look and see what he can spot, but those 4 Stalkers, they're not going anywhere, man. They are not going anywhere.
But here comes in the 2 Immortals, and he's going to start targeting them down. Really nice harassment here from Grubby. He picks off 1 Colossus, and that's huge.
What a fantastic little snipe out there, using them all in tandem with one another and getting out. And only losing 1 Stalker for a Colossus, that was a great move.
As long as he doesn't lose this War Prism, he is in such great shape. To pick off 1 Colossus when you're already on double Robo Colossus for an all-in attack, well, it doesn't look all-in anymore, but that's awesome. And look at this, he's going after the third base.
Oh, has to recall out of there. That's too much firepower from HasuObs. Good defense, but this might prompt Grubby once again to fly into the main. We're here with this Warp Prism.
A little bit mistimed. If he had hit that just after starting to attack the third, I feel like it would have done a lot of damage. But HasuObs knows that that's what to be afraid of. He's moving over here, but... Whoa. Oh, he's out of position against this Warp Prism.
Yeah, that Colossus had to be a little bit careful. Leading the charge there could have been vulnerable if Grubby would have tried to try and snipe it out, but in the end, the Warp Prism is just going to dive back into the main. As you said, he's out of position with that entire army. I'm pretty sure there's not too much in the main. A few Zealots, so they should be able to shoo away the Immortals.
Yeah, those Zealots will do a good job, and so he's going to be stuck with that for now, but as long as he doesn't lose that, he can fly around with it as much as he likes. I don't think that there's going to be a big attack from HasuObs too soon.
But this is HasuObs to a T. The +3 weapons now on the way before his opponent is ever going to have that on the cards. So now, once HasuObs hits that, he had his third base economy running nicely and smoothly with all of his units out and about. Does he have the Templar Archives? Has he been adding on Archons just yet? I don't think so, right?
Grubby's adding his right now, but no, we haven't really seen any Archons yet out of HasuObs. Definitely something you're going to want to add in, though. If you don't have Archons in your composition, it's hard to hold on against your opponent.
He does have the 1 in the end, so... Aside from that, looks like a little bit of harassment once again, but the Zealots well in position to shut that down. He got 1 Stalker there, so not too bad at all. As now the Colossi constantly on the way. And noticeably, I mean, HasuObs identified that, you know, his opponent was having a lot of Colossi himself. I've done the second Robo for quite a while now, and he's going to get up to those good Colossus numbers as well.
Well, these unit compositions are getting pretty scary. We see both players starting to add on a lot of Archons. That +3 is almost done for Hasu, and I tell you what, he has a big window, timing window where he has +3 attack against what is about to be +2 attack. And with this many Colossi, Immortals, and Archons, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, this army that we're seeing here from HasuObs is very, very strong. He's now maxed out against a 172 supply Grubby, as he has to fall on back. And we're going to see Grubby maybe try and get a few volleys off if he's sneaky, but in the grand scheme of things, that's going to be very difficult. So he has to retreat, he has to get back as safely as possible.
Well, a little bit of a Zealot harassment here, drawing that army back, and in fact, forces a Nexus cannon. You have to be careful how you spend that Mothership Core energy, and here we go. It looks like the engagement is about to happen. The Colossi targeting down the other Colossi, but the Zealots starting to punch through.
Yeah, there's so many Zealots here for HasuObs. They were tanking so much of it, and the Archons for Grubby just didn't do anything. You cannot allow that amount of Zealots to just run rampant, run free during those engagements. And HasuObs, he got a great position there, but look at this, Grubby is trying to go for the counter.
Well, Grubby is warping some units over there, and if he can hold off this attack, that can go well. Oh, the flank of Zealots coming right up on top of those Colossus, forcing them back. And it looks like HasuObs has built himself too big of a lead here.
Oh, the third base goes down. A great snipe out here for HasuObs. That's going to really, really tie things up very, very nicely for him if he just holds on to this lead, holds on to this position. The Zealots from the side, I mean, it's the perfect way to deal with those Colossus.
It certainly is. You were saying it before the match, and it has truly come true here. To be able to warp in those Zealots and do the flank is gigantic. He's killed the third base. He's killing off the army. Grubby is microing his heart out, but it's not going to be enough.
No, it is not. The Colossi fall. GG, game number 2 goes to HasuObs. He ties the series up 1-1. Very impressive play by our German Protoss.
It certainly was. That is the HasuObs that I know
yeah.
and love, Claris. That's for sure. Grubby, on the other hand, I feel like he made the same mistake that HasuObs made in game number 1. He took a little bit too long to get that third base up, and HasuObs got way ahead in supply.
And I want to come back to that last engagement, the last big engagement that we saw in that game. What was fantastic about that from my point of view is that HasuObs, he knew he had advantage all game long. He knew his opponent really hadn't done the amount of damage he needed to really equalize things up, and that his third base was delayed. So when he maxes out, he knows he's maxing out faster than his opponent. So if you position and park yourself in between the second and third of Grubby, Grubby has a choice. Either he fights or he loses his third. There's really no two ways about it.
That is exactly right. You know, it's such a big deal. And Grubby just didn't quite have the army. His economy was a little bit slow. If you're going to get such a slow third Nexus, you have to get a little bit more damage on it. And he actually did do some really nice damage, as we were pointing out. Sniping the Colossus, killing off an Observer, killing off a few Stalkers here and there. But it wasn't quite enough.
I think of HasuObs as maybe one of the 3 players in Europe who, when he can win, he rather just sit back and defend. I don't know if he does it to make the game look more beautiful or because he misses his attack timings, but he's one of the examples that I use of not knowing when to attack. Anytime I see that in myself, because I suffer a little bit from the same as well, which is why we had such a long series, I think I should improve this about myself.
As mentioned, in PvP, anything can happen, so I think the guy with the smarter ideas and maybe the better build order choice has an advantage, but overall the guy with a better shape will win. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Grubby and HasuObs, 2 of the very, very best tip-top Protoss in the European scene. And as always, it goes to a game 3 with these guys.
As it should. You know, if it was a 2-0, I think that's just kind of the volatility of the matchup. These guys are just, they're so well matched that I feel like it should always go to the final game.
Certainly so. And we're going to finish things off with Ultrazeme Alta, a map that, as you said, it's a little bit newer than the rest. And we'll see how it's going to factor in.
Whoever practiced this map more, that's going to be important because the winner takes home $500.
Big deal, big deal. Spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss representing mousesports, tying up the series. He is HasuObs. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our green Protoss representing the Netherlands. He is Grubby.
Well, of course, you know, both these players, not too big of a trip. For you as well, not too big of a trip over here to the ESGN TV studios.
It was a very leisurely trip, I've got to say. 40-minute flight. I nodded off for a second. I was like, oh, I'm here. That's pretty good.
I feel like as soon as you get high up in the air, you're going to go right back down with a 40-minute flight. That's pretty quick, pretty convenient for you. A little bit further for myself, coming all the way from Seoul, South Korea.
Just a little bit further.
Just a tad.
The tiniest bit. But it's nice to be here in Germany. Are you enjoying yourself?
Oh, of course. I do love Germany. I actually quite like the German food as well, I have to say, when I go out.
What do you end up getting out?
Vegetarian schnitzel.
Ah, yes. I forgot we're the opposites. We are the complete opposites. I only eat meat, you only eat veg. Together we're just like one person.
We'd be a perfect couple. We'd save a lot of money dining out.
We'd only have to buy one meal, completely split it in half. Perfect.
Indeed. Well, we have HasuObs going for the quicker scout, and this actually happened in game number 1 on the big map as well, whereas Grubby's deciding, you know what, it's going to be hard to find him. I'm just going to do a build and not scout until very late.
Yeah, and I like that option personally. The amount of mining time that you actually lose from this initial probe moving out when you could just find him later on with a few units or stalk him. I mean, what realistically is his opponent actually going to do on a map like this early?
I do have to agree with you, and with the map being so big, like even scouting this early, if he's the last spot you scout, you might not even get in the base.
Yeah.
There's that possibility, and when you don't get in the base with an early scout like this, you feel like a fool, Kalaris. Because I scout early like this, and oftentimes I feel like a fool.
I do the same. I'm guilty of it as well.
Yes.
Poor little probes, they don't get to see anything, and it's like, no.
What I say you should do in play and what I do in play, two very different things.
Exactly.
But it looks like he's going to be able to scout in pretty easily. It is the second location, so he's going to be able to check the gas timing, see how many gateways there are there any pylons missing, and from this he can start to really build his plan.
Yeah, as he does come in here, have a little bit of a look around. Nothing too crazy. Sees all the pylons that he needs to, importantly here, just to make sure that there isn't any kind of really crazy proxy shenanigans going on.
That's right. You know, if there is proxy shenanigans going on, and you can get in there and find that out, like, oh my god, there's a pylon missing.
Yeah.
Then that's going to tell you, oh, you know what? I think this might be proxy Stargate. You look at the gas, you figure it out, and then you can start to defend against it. And if you can defend against a proxy, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yep. And surprise, surprise, Stargate is indeed on the way here for HasuObs, which I believe was just spotted there, right? So, no, sorry, other side of the map.
Yep, other side of the map. And it looks like a very fast expansion here from Grubby.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. With this quick Stargate, are we going to see a 3-gate with it? Because if we do, it has potential to actually kill off this Nexus.
Yeah.
But if it's just the Stargate, not so much. The best he's going to hope for is some probe kills.
I'm not surprised that Grubby's actually done this on a map like this. I call it mini Calm Before the Storm, if anybody can think back to that map, where it was just super macro, super passive play. Grubby's trying to take advantage of that with that pocket expansion that he has at the back, but the Oracle is now coming out. But Grubby, I mean, he knows that there's always Stargate potential, right? So I'm pretty sure that these Stalkers are going to be in the right positions.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Grubby, I don't foresee him losing too many probes. Like, I could see 4 going down for sure.
Yeah.
But with how quick his Nexus is in comparison, he should be able to catch up.
He should be able to, you're right. Robo's actually going to go as well here for
That's
Hasu.
so safe.
It's very safe. Hasu is the quintessential safe player, but this could come back to bite him if he's just going to go for a Nexus off the back of this, which, I mean...
Yeah, that's very slow economically.
Yeah.
What's happening here is this little Oracle, he's going to have to do a lot of work to make sure that HasuObs isn't behind, but let's see. He flies past another Oracle, the Mothership Core does see him. When is he going to do that? Nexus Cannon does it, and it looks like this Oracle not going to do much, only 1 kill.
Oh dear me, that's really not paid off for itself here. He's going to try and fly to the natural. That's a very, very good choice. No photon overcharge energy for that, but those units are dancing on back. He gets an extra 2, but has to get it right out there.
Well, he's got 3 kills so far, and 4 kills, 5. Not quite 6, but is he going to lose it? Oh!
Very, very good play there.
Yes, that was so important that he got to do that. And let's just throw this out here. He made a Phoenix after that Oracle. So this incoming one, in fact, 2 Phoenixes, this incoming Oracle will end up dying no matter what.
Yeah, Grubby slipped on his control. He could have denied some of those probes from actually dying off of that natural, but in the end, we're seeing HasuObs claim a very strong position. The Oracle absolutely disintegrates.
Okay, so right now 6 workers killed to just 1. That Oracle was kind of wasted from Grubby, I have to say.
Yeah.
Sure, it got 1 probe, it got the photon overcharge off, but that's not what he wanted to do with it.
certainly not. He's going to charge on in and have a look around with that hallucinated Phoenix. But for now, that expansion is on the way. I think things will probably normalize, considering how early this Nexus actually was. But still, again, it's a huge map. This could take a while.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this probe counts. 32 against 33, so Grubby's 1 probe ahead, but what's more important here than probe count, because they're both on Stargate, is the fact that Grubby has 2 additional gases faster than HasuObs. This, if they both continue Phoenixes for a bit, that is the most important thing, but look at this, so smart. HasuObs comes in with his Phoenixes, killing off 1 Phoenix already and trying to get some more.
That's really, really well played there. Just being able to defend that Oracle with the Phoenix. They do end up going down, so again, that could technically come back to bite him if we now see the Phoenix count rise for Grubby, but already we're seeing a second Stargate coming down for HasuObs. So these guys, they know the nature of this map. They know the nature of Phoenix versus Phoenix. You need to have more.
Yeah, that's, you know, it sounds so simple, but it is exactly the truth. You have to have more Phoenixes.
Yeah.
And guess what? When the range upgrade comes out, you better have that about the same time as your opponent.
But look at this. We're already seeing Grubby actually add on the fleet beacon as opposed to it. So actually, if it's a weird dynamic, because if he actually had range where his opponent didn't, he could micro without as many Phoenix.
That is completely true. As long as you are super quick with your reaction speed, that quicker range is going to be huge. But there is a window here for HasuObs, and Grubby is counting on him missing it. HasuObs will have more Phoenixes, and if he flies in at the peak of that, where he's like 2-3 Phoenixes ahead before range is done, HasuObs will win the game.
Yeah, you're
He'll
right.
just be way too far ahead, and he's 2 ahead right now.
It's just too much. It would be too much. Grubby's going to come in here, have a look around again. He's going to see the 2 Stargates, and, well, he's not going to see much more than that. The Phoenix will always deny it, but he got a good read on the Phoenix count.
Yeah, in fact, HasuObs tried to pull 2 away to hide his number, but Grubby barely saw it if he was looking at the screen at that moment, so that is a big, big deal.
All right, well, he's up 8-5 right now. I think we may have seen the fleet, but yes, we did see the fleet beacon go down as well for HasuObs. So he's going to try and get his range out. But look, I mean, the range is so quickly upgraded if you focus Chrono Boost into it for Grubby that now that window's kind of been missed here for Hasu.
Yeah, that's true. He's not going to get there before that's done. And if you do get such a quick second Stargate, that's probably something you're going to want to check, at least with Hallucinated Phoenix, to make sure that you can hit that timing. It's gone. Okay, that's fine, though. He still has a lot of Phoenix. The one thing I am a little bit scared of, though, is with both them chrono boosting out 2 at a time, and +1 going to be finishing up here for Grubby, he's going to have a timing now coming up where he can win the Phoenix battle very one-sidedly.
Yeah, and it's a lot of damage considering how Phoenix actually fight and how they attack with those 2 attacks in every single volley. Hasu's being very, very defensively minded with his Phoenix placed right above his mineral line. Wants to make sure that no Phoenix come in and start lifting things up. But then, where does the transition come in? Where is the Templar Archives to then get Archons, maybe even High Templars for feedback? But you see a lot of Archons in this mix.
I have to say, I'm very opinionated on this question, Claris. I think you have to have your 3rd base gases up, and then you can switch into Archons.
But that's a very, very good point that you bring up, but he's actually adding on a 3rd Stargate as opposed to going for that. So he's just going mass Phoenix for now.
Oh, and look at this. He has so many Phoenixes, and he actually wins that first little battle, does force Grubby back, and at 12 to 8 Phoenixes, there's like no way for Grubby to win a battle with less Phoenixes. This is just a game of more.
And a 3rd Stargate's going to go down for Grubby as well. So neither player going for Twilight Council just yet. As you mentioned, 3rd base gases are of the most importance there. And it looks like Grubby's going to transition on quickly, though. Because why would you add the Forge on otherwise? I mean, yes, you can get cannons, of course. But adding on some ground upgrades as well here could make that later transition much stronger.
You know what? With the splash damage the Archon does, that certainly is a factor. Of course, Plasma Shields do affect the Phoenixes. I don't really like getting that upgrade. It's too much gas for this situation. But right now, HasuObs is flying across the map, and with that big Phoenix lead, I'm feeling like he could do some damage.
He certainly could do. He's already been revealed, though, so he does know he's on the way, but it's 18-12. There's not much anti-air anywhere else for Grubby. It's all in the Phoenix. Everything is.
Even if he has a bunch of Stalkers, the Phoenixes kill each other so quickly, it's not even going to count, really. And here he goes. He's going to go start lifting. Now, Grubby does come in while he's lifting, throws down the Photon Overcharge as well. Good defense by Grubby.
Yeah, just pushing it away, making sure that nothing can happen too much. I mean, Hasu right now doesn't have full confirmation as to what his opponent's Phoenix count is, right? And once they all clump up and mishmash, and you can't really tell how many there are actually there, and it can be a bit scary.
Well, it looks like Grubby right now actually is getting those plasma shields. He has so much gas at this point, also getting the +2 attack. So his Phoenixes are going to be better upgraded than HasuObs, but he has to be careful because if he goes down too many, the upgrades don't matter anymore.
I'm looking at the plasma shields upgrade and figuring out how it actually works out in terms of adding onto the Phoenix, and then when you get the Archons, the fact that they benefit from it so much as well. I think it is a really, really cool option here.
It certainly is, and Grubby, in fact, getting that Twilight. So it looks like he is going to eventually do his transition. And HasuObs, in the meantime, just making another Nexus. I love that he keeps expanding. I feel like this is very important when it's Phoenix versus Phoenix, because guess what? They can't kill buildings.
Oh my. I got a little bit shocked again, because Hasu is just... he has only one focus, and it's only Phoenix. 2 extra Stargates? This could end up very interesting. We're going to see 2 very different compositions here very soon.
Yeah, we certainly are. Now, do you think he's going to actually stay on 5 Stargate Phoenix? Because, like, 1 Archon will beat that.
Exactly. Just one Archon. It stands above them, and they all clump up, and they all die instantly. I'm a little bit worried.
Could he switch into something else, like Tempest, dare I say Carriers, Void Rays? He's going to need something that hits ground eventually.
Yeah. He is. This is astonishingly interesting. I am not quite sure what he's going to do with this. I mean, I imagine he's going to continue on with Phoenix, but...
No, I'm a bit confused as you are as well, but this is what I was talking about before, that if they do get into a Phoenix versus Phoenix game,
5 Phoenix?
I always like Grubby in that situation because he knows how to transition. He gets those gases up. Look at this. He is going to have that +1 plasma shields. He's adding gateways on. He's starting to make Archons. And the amount of support Archons give to Phoenix is insane in this matchup.
The way HasuObs is playing this, he's like, right, this is the Zerg version. This is Protoss. Like, I get all the mutants at the same time. Now I'm going to have all the Phoenix at the same time very, very quickly. This is bizarre.
You know, unfortunately, though, in ZVZ, mutas can actually kill Spore Crawlers that do so much damage, whereas these Archons literally cannot be touched by Phoenixes.
No, not at all. And oftentimes, when you actually get into this Phoenix versus Phoenix situation in PvP, you actually see charge being added on, aside from that for the Zealots and the mineral dump. But, I mean, at this point, there's no need to have Zealots at all. It's just Archon Phoenix versus pure Phoenix that's not really going to do it.
Yeah, he's going up to, I think, 3 Archons right now. I feel like HasuObs has missed this timing. He actually needs to go kill every probe and all the Phoenixes, like, right now, because the Phoenix battle, he will win so ridiculously one-sidedly. He just needs to utilize the maneuverability of the Phoenix swarm. And the thing is, if he's being attacked at his base, he can't defend. But if he's attacking, he can run away from Archons.
And there is the charge on the way for Grubby. He has played this kind of game out a lot. We've seen it in tournaments quite a bit from Grubby. He knows exactly what he's doing. But once the trades all occur in the air, he has the transition available to look at all those Phoenix.
I've never even seen this many Phoenixes.
Not at all. What?
This is like, so I can't count that. That is a huge, 47 Phoenixes. I don't even know what to say here. I've seen 47 roaches, but I've never seen 47 Phoenixes.
This is actually monobattles for HasuObs.
It feels like it.
It's nothing else. Well,
all right, here he goes. It is time, Calaris.
Ride of the Valkyries, I guess. This is absolutely crazy. Grubby has to run away.
He has to float over Archons, and look at this. He's staying away from those Archons. He's utilizing this maneuverability. Grubby has to be on the offensive with this composition, not the defensive. There's no way to defend these bases.
Those Archons are so immobile, they can't get over there in time. He doesn't have the anti-air available to him. He could pick up everything there.
He actually should have ignored that Nexus and just flown straight in. As soon as he saw an Archon, he should know that he has way more Phoenixes, and there's no way he can lose that battle.
Not at all. He moves towards that. He sees the Archon positioning. He's not going to go anywhere near that forever. Kills off the Mothership Core in a second, and all those probes are destined to die. Even though they can't stay there. They absolutely can't.
Wow, HasuObs is just really utilizing the terrain on this map, getting aggressive with this huge Phoenix cloud, and he is killing Grubby off. Grubby's in a sore spot. He's down 40 supply now.
But then what happens when he has a lot of Phoenix, and then he can't kill any buildings, and then there's this ground army with Archons? He has to then spend a lot of time building a ground army himself?
No, that's the thing. I feel like as soon as this came in, Grubby should identify you cannot stop this with what you have. It's too maneuverable. So he needs to just go and attack, move on the other side. And the thing is, HasuObs has a total of 8 ground units with worse upgrades. There's no way he can hold on against even this paltry force.
Well, he's going to continue to trade away Phoenix for Phoenix. I'm not really sure what else they're going to be able to do after they're all dead. Just lift up all the probes and completely kill his economy, I guess. Actually, now that I think about it, that's brilliant. Hold the phone. If he just kills all the Phoenix, kills off every probe, and then goes home and is like, right, I have a lot of gateways.
He can even just make cannons on his ramp, right? It's pretty crazy. But he needs to start that because he's continuing to make Phoenixes, which he doesn't need. He needs actual units right now. The Phoenix, like adding more Phoenixes does nothing because Grubby can literally never catch up in the Phoenix now.
They don't need to be producing anymore. You're absolutely right on that. 31 Phoenix against 2. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I think you're okay, HasuObs. You don't need 50 Phoenixes again. You have enough lifts. These cannons can never stop this many Phoenixes. Well, and look, he just continues to run away. Grubby really does need to be the aggressor here. These Archons are still an unbeatable force for HasuObs.
I mean, right now, the incomes have to be vastly, vastly different here. HasuObs is adding on a Dark Shrine. He's killed off actually hundreds and hundreds of probes at this point with these lifts. This is barbaric.
The Dark Shrine to me, Claris, that's
97.
Oh my God,
up to 100.
It's insane.
Wow.
This Dark Shrine I see is completely brilliant. When you have this many Phoenixes, if you have an observer with him, literally the Protoss can never detect. He'd have to cannon push his way there. So like a few DTs will hold off the ground army forever.
It's like StarCraft 1 PvZ, right?
Yes, yes it is. It's like Corsairs killing Overlords all day, every day.
Wow, this is a crazy game here by HasuObs, but as we all know, HasuObs does bring out some of the crazier games, the very long games, and this is certainly one of them.
Yeah, 34 Phoenixes, 17 Zealots, and like 80 plus probes. That's HasuObs. I love it, man.
Wow. Well, what a game here for game number 3. Hasu is absolutely in the driving seat. Right now, take an absolute miracle here for Grubby to really come back from this, but he's trying his hardest. Hasu's just everywhere. The Phoenix is just killing off all of the probes in their entirety. They don't even care about the Archons. Who cares?
Yeah. Sure, the Archon probably actually did like 1,000 damage there with all the splash, but what does it matter? Whatever. You just fly away now.
And the Zealot's just going to work on the Nexus that has been added on here for Grubby as well. Once the gateways and Robo kick in for HasuObs, his army is just going to be far, far too formidable. He can actually lift up everything apart from Colossi and Archons, and
well, and he can just straight up kill Colossi. It's crazy, man. You know what really surprises me is that Grubby still has 26 probes. How in the world does he have 26 probes?
He's produced close to 150, I guess, in this game. That's pretty impressive.
That's about right.
But Hasu just really going to town, and well, that 27 probe count isn't going to last much longer.
No, certainly not. He's down to 19 at this point. His economy just in shambles. We actually have HasuObs adding on 3 more Robos because, you know what, 5 Stargates, why not go 5 Robos as well?
It's going to work out when you're on 5 bases. All the 5s, every day, all day. Lots of Phoenix here to be able to do whatever they want. And those Archons, poor little guys, they haven't been able to do much of anything for the whole game.
You know what, I feel like we're watching Grubby play like this low economy, like edge of his seat, trying to stay alive game, whereas HasuObs is playing like fastest map possible.
Exactly.
He's just like making bases, he's making production facilities, he's getting every upgrade. He's making 5 Colossus right now.
He does whatever he wants. He does whatever he wants. Why not? I don't think I've ever seen 5 Colossi being produced at the same time in PvP.
No. I mean, I see 4 all the time in PvT, but 5, doesn't that seem like it's overkill?
Why not?
What are you going to go Tempest? You're going to counter this with Tempest now, Grubby? No, not with this many Phoenixes out there.
Not at all. The Zealots and Dark Templars just going to run amok, whilst, I mean, the Grubby, he's trying to hold on for dear life. He's trying to separate his Archons up where he can, and yes, they're doing damage, but he's still on 28 probes. This is valiant.
Yeah, no, I can't believe he keeps on getting up to 30 probes. It's like crazy. Well, a few DTs coming in. Not going to work out this time. Sorry, DTs. Going to be able to successfully defend this, but Grubby is not giving up yet. He continues to make Archons. The thing is, Archons are not terrible against Colossus, but I mean, HasuObs is going for, I think, like I don't know, 10 Colossus?
He's going for a full
I think he's
Colossus
going for
composition.
he's going to have a wall of about 4 to 5 Zealots, and then he's going to have about 10 Colossus with about 30 Phoenixes. And it looks like an Archon just for safety.
I mean, why not? You know, why not? It's an interesting unit composition, and only HasuObs is a player that can actually bring this to the table in PvP.
Yes. I've never seen this composition myself, to be honest. This is not in any matchup.
It is indeed strange, but HasuObs is making it work. 8 Colossi now out on the field with a 21 Phoenix to complement, and this is going to be very, very difficult for the Grubby to stop once it comes along.
Yeah, I think when he sees how many Colossus are going to get in his face in a moment here, that's going to have to be it. And, you know, the sad thing for Grubby is, if he scouts around the amount of bases HasuObs has and the amount of cannons he's making at all those bases, it's like, HasuObs, this is what we talk about. He doesn't really attack. He's like, well, I'm just going to make sure that no matter what, I can't lose. I feel like he has a checklist of 1,000 things that can kill him, and he doesn't stop defending until he has them all checked off.
German efficiency, man. That German efficiency that comes along here from HasuObs, able to really lock this down and make sure that he can take this fight easily and absolutely obliterate his opponent. I mean, despite having a lot of Archons for Grubby, it's just too much.
Well, Grubby's warping in as much as he possibly can. Oh, his army supply just so much lower here. We'll see what he can do. He's trying to go in for a big flank. Maybe he can break through. We'll see. A bunch of the Archons actually stuck over there to the left. A great time warp by HasuObs, though, and look at this. He actually does surround everything.
This was about as good as an engagement that Grubby could have got, but GG, well played. HasuObs will advance on, taking the 2-1 over Grubby. And in that last game, in the last 2 games, I think we were back to normal HasuObs. Game 1 looked a little bit uncomfortable for him, but games number 2 and 3, that's the HasuObs we love and know.
You know, I gotta say, I do love how HasuObs just used the mobility of the Phoenixes. He stayed on Grubby, picked up the probes, he killed off the Phoenix swarm of Grubby, and Grubby just could not defend. The Archons aren't quick enough to run around everywhere.
Yeah, it was a tough thing to deal with. There are certainly a load of locations on Altrazim Malta that make it very difficult for that ground army ever to be available to you where you need it right there and then. So cool decision making here by HasuObs. Very, very well played.
Yes, indeed. And this means that he has won $500. Okay, that's a lot of money. But does he risk it?
Exactly.
Does he risk it and get another fantastic player that is probably going to have a nice close series like that with him?
It being HasuObs, I think he may do. I don't think he's here for the small
He's not here
change.
for 500. Does he want the 25 grand?
He wants all the money. He wants all the money.
I mean, who does not? Well, you know what? This has been a really great series. I'm sad that Grubby is actually out already, though. He's a player that I was hoping we could see get 3, 4, maybe even 5 wins.
It certainly could have happened, but that's not the case now, as we did have, indeed, Mr. HasuObs showing some phenomenal PvP.
Well, you know what? Frodan right now has Grubby to get his thoughts on that last series, so Frodan, take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm joined with Grubby, who just dropped a series to HasuObs 1-2. Grubby, it started off really good for you. You won the first game, but the next 2 games you seem to struggle a little bit. Can you walk me through the thought process of what happened in the series?
Let's see. I gotta remember what happened. I only have Phoenixes in my head right now. Lots of Phoenixes. Yeah. Let's see, we started on Frost. Yeah, I was gonna go for a really gas-heavy build, but he scouted early, so I decided to do something else. And I think it started off pretty well for me, like exactly like how I envisioned it. Therefore, I could play out the game really comfortably and certainly. And I think that's really what killed me in game 2 and 3, besides HasuObs' really good play. In game 2, I put him on a different build than he did, and I think I played it out okay for 5 or 10 minutes, but at some point I stopped really producing probes, really creating the right army that I need. Just uncertain in the whole game, and I ended up losing. In the last game, well, from experience, you should go on with as many Phoenix until you can't see anything else on the screen anymore. But at that point, I thought that you both stop and you go for Archons, because I felt Archons, you know, obviously in a straight up fight, they beat Phoenixes quite heavily. But I have previously played this on maps like Metropolis and Frost and Whirlwind, where we both have a lot of Phoenixes. And since Altrazim is about 7 times as big, it was not viable for me to push across the map as I would have done on other maps, and my failure to recognize that led to my untimely demise. And HasuObs did know about this, and yeah, he knew that you have to keep making Phoenix, so he was able to yeah, play it out much better than me. So I gained a lot of experience from this.
Oh, that's a really good, positive way to take on it. Thank you very much, Grubby. Unfortunately, your journey ends here, but hopefully we'll see you against it.
Thanks, I'll be back.
Well, Claris, it's very sad that Grubby is out, but there's still 6 very good players left and 1 very hard decision for HasuObs coming up.
Oh yeah, that makes it all the more difficult. The fact that we still have 6 players remaining, it's actually the hardest first decision that any of these players are actually going to have to make all.
Yeah, who are you afraid of? There's players from every race left. What do you do here? Do you put that 500 on the line to try to bring it up to 750 with another win? Are you that confident? Or do you just take the money and run?
It's a very, very difficult decision. It's one that Hasu has to make. He already showed a phenomenal Series 1 with his very strong defensive play. But now, can he carry that forwards against another player?
Well, I don't know. Let's ask HasuObs and see what he's going to do.
Thank you, Artosis and Claris. I'm joined with HasuObs, who won his series. Before we get to the big decision, I want to ask you about the series. What went right, what went wrong, and what was going through your mind as you killed 140 pros on the last map?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty happy about the best of 3. Only the first map didn't went how I wanted it to go. I got pretty much crushed on the first map without much chances. And the second and third map was pretty much how I wanted them to go. And especially on the third map, Grubby made the strategic mistake that he didn't keep making Phoenixes on Altazim. So I just got really far ahead on the Phoenix count. And as you mentioned, I got more than 100 pro kills. And obviously, it's almost impossible to recover at this point. So yeah, in the end, the game was, yeah, kind of easy, but I mean, that's how it goes if you have so many more Phoenixes.
Well, you're off to a hot start and you won your first series and 500 for yourself. But now it's time for the big decision. We welcome the lovely Sandra up to the stage. So HasuObs, do you take the money or do you take another opponent and spin the wheel?
I think I take the money.
All right, well, congratulations. Thanks for playing. No one can blame you. 500's a lot of money for himself. And HasuObs, good luck in the future, and hopefully we see you again.
Thanks.
It's time to find out the first player. Grubby, why don't you take it for a spin?
All right, I'm gonna try and get my Banku brother-in-arms, Mana, to play next so that I can take his practice PC. I don't know which one it is, but I'll give it a good spin. Let's see, do you believe, Frodo?
There's a 1 in 8 chance. I don't even know what it is.
I don't know too. Let's see. Will it be Mana? Or perhaps MVP?
Oh. Player 5.
Player 5. Who is player 5? It is TLO.
So TLO is the first of 2 players I'll be playing next time. Who is he going to be facing off against? Find out next episode on Fight Night. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you later.